10 years ago, Pep Guardiola took to the touchline for the first time with Manchester City. A 2-1 win over Sunderland wasn't the most memorable, but there was clear evidence of the transformation to come. Joe Hart was benched, deemed a poor fit for Guardiola's approach, and there was the novel sight of fullbacks Gael Clichy and Bacary Sagna inverting into midfield. City's 77.7% share of possession was their fourth highest on record in a Premier League game.
That is the first step. You have to build something from that.
Despite a trophyless season in his first campaign at City, Guardiola has gone on to win 20 pieces of silverware with the club, but his influence goes far beyond the walls of the Etihad. In that first season, City went from 55% possession and 487 short passes per game with Manuel Pellegrini to 65% possession and 584 short passes per game as Guardiola set about overhauling their style. Despite some costly individual errors in that first season, highlighted in a 4-2 loss to Leicester City, which prompted Pep to say, "I don't train tackles," they were ironed out the following campaign, with Man City winning their first Premier League title under the Spaniard. A raft of signings, including a 23-year-old Brazilian goalkeeper from Benfica, proved transformative. Ederson was able to orchestrate Guardiola's build-up play with a level of composure similar to Manuel Neuer at Bayern Munich and Victor Valdez at Barcelona, and Manchester City's number of passes, sequences of 10 or more passes, and build-up attacks shot up, with his distribution over longer distances also proving an invaluable method of bypassing opposition pressing structures. That second season, City breezed to a Premier League title with record-breaking totals of 100 points and 106 goals scored, in an emphatic vindication of the Spaniards' methods. Premier League clubs soon followed Guardiola's example. Brendan Rodgers' Swansea and Mauricio Pochettino's Southampton and Spurs sides had begun to implement short passing principles before Guardiola's arrival, but playing out from the back only became more prevalent in the following seasons. The average number of passes being played by Premier League sides in their own halves began to rise steadily, having previously been on the decline. The same trend could be seen in the averages for passing sequences of 10 or more passes and build-up attacks, before the shift towards directness in the last 2 seasons. Guardiola's influence soon became apparent further down the English football pyramid. The trend was slower to materialise, but it wasn't long before Championship, League One and even League Two teams began to follow the direction of travel in the Premier League. The numbers peaked in 2023-24 following City's treble-winning campaign. Of course, the shift towards Guardiola's way of playing impacted players all over the pitch, but arguably none more than the goalkeeper. Joe Hart was a 2-time title winner with nearly 350 Man City appearances behind him, but he lacked the technical security to play for Guardiola. Claudio Bravo and subsequently Ederson demonstrated the requirement to act as additional outfield players, able to play passes under pressure in and around the penalty boxes. Under Guardiola, the number of successful goalkeeper passes in Manchester City's half trebled in the space of 2 seasons. Their average climbed to a high of 27 per game in 23-24. The wider uptake across the league was not immediate, but after 2018, the average number of goalkeeper passes in the defensive half rose incrementally as clubs sought ball-playing goalkeepers. At 19 per game in 23-24, a 140% increase from the average of 8 per game in 2016-17. Hart was the first high-profile casualty, but there were plenty more to come, most notably Manchester United's David De Gea, whose perceived inability to play out from the back saw him replaced by Andre Onana. Guardiola had an immense influence on how teams in England set up off the ball as well as on it, with man-to-man pressing high up the pitch key to his philosophy. By 2020, Man City were averaging just under 10 high turnovers per game, up from 8 in Pellegrini's final season, with the Premier League trending in the same direction. Man City's start distance, which measures how far a team's passing sequences begin from their own goal, steadily trended upwards throughout Guardiola's tenure, before the last 2 seasons which saw the tactical landscape shift once more. Guardiola has always seen himself as a pragmatist rather than an idealist, perfectly illustrated by this line at his unveiling in 2016. Man City have remained a primarily possession-based, short-passing side, but in the latter years of Guardiola's tenure have developed other ways of beating man-to-man marking. The signing of Erling Haaland in 2022 marked a dramatic shift from the false 9 model Guardiola previously favoured. The Norwegian became an invaluable outlet for direct play and fast breaks as the physicality of the Premier League ramped up. Manchester City have averaged less possession and fewer passing sequences than in any previous season under Guardiola this term, whilst their numbers for quick attacks have trended upwards as Guardiola emphasises transitions over intricate build-up play, and one-to-one specialists such as Antoine Semenyo and Jeremy Doku over pure passes. There is little doubt Guardiola brought his signature style to the Premier League and wider English football upon his arrival, but more recent shifts away from those principles appear reactive.
You can say complain, now you have to adapt.
Guardiola's willingness to adapt may have encouraged others to do the same, but it is difficult to be sure. What is certain, though, is that his arrival at Manchester City inspired change in English football like no other manager.